The biggest difference between you and a seven-figure course creator is they've already taken action and you're still dreaming and planning. And the reality is most people that have this great idea of what they want to do, of this online course business that they want to create, never make it happen because they never get out of that place of being excited about the idea where it's the only thing they can think about, the only thing they can talk about. They read about it, they watch YouTube videos, they take courses, but they don't take action. And that could be for a lot of reasons. It could be fear. It could be lack of clarity around what they need to do. Whatever it is, I want to help you today not be stuck in that position and stop dreaming about the thing you want to create and have a very clear blueprint and maybe a little bit of a kick in the pants to get you to where you want to go. Now, when I went to go create my first online course, I was trapped in that same mode of being excited about this idea and thinking about it constantly and planning and trying to figure everything out. But months went by and I'd made no progress. And so one day I was just so frustrated, I snapped and I challenged myself that I was going to build the entire course in a single weekend. It's kind of like when you have a New Year's resolution to lose weight. And so you go and you're all excited about it. And maybe you do good for a couple of days. But January goes by, February goes by, you get into March, you're still not making any progress. Maybe summer comes around, you're still not beach body ready. And you finally just reach this breaking point where you're so frustrated that you say, enough is enough. I'm going to do this. And that is the point where you finally start making progress. And that's what I reached. And so I sat down and I reverse engineered everything that I needed to do to get this course done and told myself, I'm going to get it done this weekend. And then my wife told me that her in-laws were coming over for a visit. But I still got it done. In between shooting pool, drinking beer, having a good time, watching football, I would sneak back into my office and I would record videos and I got the entire thing done. And by the end of the weekend, I had a great time and I had a sellable product. And I tell you this story because I want you to know that it's possible. And today I'm going to break down everything that you need to do. That exercise I did of reverse engineering the process, I'm going to take you step by step through it so you have a blueprint and know what to do. So you at least have clarity, and that's one less thing in your way of getting it done. And then the last thing that I'm going to teach you, if you stay to the end, is I'm going to teach you about pricing, because pricing is the main difference between having a nice little side income from your online course and making 7 figures a year. The first step to creating a successful online course is having a great idea. And I'm assuming that if you're here, you already have one. But if you haven't figured out your course idea yet, I want you to watch my video of how I turned my knowledge into a 7-figure online course in just 13 months. Don't worry about it now. We're going to go through all of this, but I'll put it in the description so that way you can watch it later. Here are the basics of what you need to know about your great idea and turning it into an offer. The first thing is that knowledge is everywhere. You're not selling knowledge, you're selling results. So you need to think about, who am I trying to help and what is it that I'm trying to help them with? What is the result that they're going to get after going through my course? And then what is the transformation I have to take them through to get them from where they are today to where they want to be? If you can figure that out and turn your idea into that transformation, you're already setting yourself up for a much more successful course than somebody that's doing the step-by-step how-to course. There's enough of those, and honestly, everybody can just get them on YouTube. Once you have your idea pretty much established, the next thing you're going to do is create an outline. And don't be a perfectionist on this. Like, you really just want to get your thoughts down on paper. This is going to change and evolve a lot during this process. So what I would encourage you to do is get something like this yellow pad, and you're going to write down and take notes. And the first step in outlining your course is determining what are the pillars or steps that you need to teach about. And this is generally 5 to 7 things that you know the person needs to know or do to get that result. So what I want you to do is just get your yellow pad like I've done here, write out what your course is about, try to frame it in, at the top in that, what we just discussed about like, what is the transformation, and then go through and are like, what are the big things they need to know or do? And just write that down, 5 to 7. Once you've done that, I want you to take that sheet, flip it over, get a new one, and I want you to go one at a time, right? So take that first pillar, you write it down, whatever it is, and then I want you to write out the 3 to 5 things, the subtopics of that bigger topic. Now, eventually, this is going to become your modules and content inside of your course. But we want to break it down so we know ahead of time before we record all of the different things that we need to include in the course. Brainstorm it, we'll think about it, and then we'll go into production mode. Now, before you put that outline aside, I want you to just make note of, are there any other additional resources that you need to create that are going to make it easier for the people that are going through your program to get to where they want to go? This could be templates, it could be checklists, it could be tutorials, whatever it is that you think will help them get the result faster. Brainstorm, write those things out, because that's the goal at the end of the day. You want somebody to be able to consume your content, go through your course, and get the result as quickly as possible. Now that you have an outline, we need to talk about how you're going to structure the delivery of your content and the support that you're going to provide for your students. The first thing is that when you're creating the content, most of the time we're going to create a video course. It's the easiest way for you to produce the content. It's going to happen much faster than you trying to create a written course, and it's going to be more clear. You're going to be able to articulate, provide examples, tell stories, and educate people in a much better way with video or sharing your screen or whatever you need to do than trying to write it out. So we're going to start with a video course. And if you've noticed, as we've created this outline, we've created our modules for the course, and all of these subtasks, we've basically broken up a checklist of the videos that we need to create. And this is a really important note for creating a video course. What you don't want to do is have this 4-hour thing that's like 2 or 3 videos, or sometimes even one video, where you just go through all of the material. You want to break it up into small chunks, like as many small chunks as you possibly can. And the reason for this is, one, it's much easier for your students to consume it, and it creates momentum for them. Every time they complete a video and they check off one piece of the program, and they're seeing that progress, and it helps motivate them and actually complete the material. Because that's the first problem that we run into as course creators, is that not everyone that buys the program completes and implements the material. So by breaking it up, they're more likely to finish consuming it and start taking action to get results. And you got to get your students results if you want to sell your program. While we're talking about getting your students results, let's talk about support, because you need to be able to have a way to answer your students' questions and help them overcome the obstacles that they run into that might prevent them from getting results. And so you need some sort of support system. And you're never going to be able to account for every question and every situation that might come up from them, and you shouldn't try to either. Instead, you want to have a place that they can go to get their questions answered and get help as it comes up. And then you can always create an FAQ or additional resources that you add to the course to help with the problems that happen over and over and over again. So the main way that we do this is generally through some sort of forum or a community, like on a Facebook group. It might happen inside of something like Messenger or Voxer. There's a lot of different ways, but it's creating a space where your students can come in and ask you or somebody on your team questions and get help when they get stuck. Another really great way to provide support for your course is to use something like Zoom to have coaching calls. You can set up an office hour where everybody and all of your students can come in at that same time every week or every month, whatever the cadence is that you set up, and they can get there and get live FaceTime with you to answer their questions, to get the help that they need. Now, as important as it is to offer some support or coaching element to your online course to help your students get results, there's a real danger that if you're not careful, you can actually eliminate all of that time leverage that really attracted you to building an online course business in the first place. So as you're planning this out, be mindful of the time commitment and what you're promising, and don't overpromise. You don't want to be in a situation where you've committed to creating new content every month, or hopping on a Zoom call every single week, or being available 24/7 on Messenger. Think about, like, what is it that I'm going to be willing to do 2 to 3 years down the line when I have 1,000 students, and build it that way from the beginning. Build it with that scalability in mind, and keep in mind that if you're building your course correctly and you're focusing on helping them achieve the transformation, that is the core product. All you're doing beyond that is finding a way that you can help answer those basic questions and get them unstuck when they run into a roadblock. It's also important to know that the support element doesn't have to be free. There are a lot of courses out there where they have the course and they just provide free Facebook group access. But if you're giving them something for free, that means that you really shouldn't, the value should match. You shouldn't be spending a ton of time in there. So if you feel like you need to have more support, then you need to take that into consideration when you're doing your pricing. A lot of times, if you are doing a higher priced product, like a high ticket course, something that you're selling for $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, then the support is going to be a lot more robust and it's going to be baked into the cost. But if you have a lower ticket course like we did with Facebook Side Hustle, then you could have that free group. Or it could be like us, where we felt like there really needed to be a lot of coaching to help people that have never started a business before that were going to go and start their own side hustle. So we decided to add a subscription element. So we had the course, they purchased it, and then they had the option to get that support we felt they needed for $47 a month. And so it added another income stream into our business, but it also meant that we were getting paid for the time that we were putting into our students. All right, now we're getting into the thing that's going to have the biggest impact on your ability to reach 7 figures as an online course creator, and that's pricing. So when we're talking about pricing, this isn't just some arbitrary number. There's a couple of questions that you need to go through to make a decision about your price. And keep in mind, this can change over time. You aren't married to the pricing that you're putting out initially. So let's talk about pricing models. We really can break it down into 3 categories. You have your high ticket courses, your low, or some people say medium ticket, but it's just low ticket. Or you could have your membership site subscription type model. Okay. And obviously there's hybrids, and I'll talk about how we used a hybrid model with our Facebook Side Hustle course here in a little bit. But you're going to have to decide, am I in that high ticket range that's going to be $1,000 and above? Am I going to be in that low ticket range, which I really do consider to be $1,000 and below? So a low ticket course might be $250, might be $500, or am I going to have that recurring subscription model, which could be something from $19 a month up to, I've seen programs that are $397 recurring every single month. Now, there's a lot that goes into pricing, and the first part is just what is the true value of the program? And we talk about this in a lot more depth in my How I Turn My Knowledge into 7-Figure Online Course video, so you can check that out in the description. But what is the true value of your program? And it's not the value of the information, it's the value of the result. And so I want you to be thinking about what is, maybe it's a monetary value. They're going to be able to earn this much with this knowledge. That makes it very easy to determine the value of the program. But you also have to think about things like, if it's a health and fitness thing, is it going to extend their life, make them healthier, make them happier? What is the value of that thing? Maybe it's going to help somebody achieve some sort of result that's going to eliminate this massive pain in their life. What is the cost of not removing that pain or that problem, right? That provides value. So you really need to think about what are the results when you're looking at the value. The other thing that you need to consider when you're pricing it, and this can impact your structure as well, is do you have an audience or following already or not? Because whether you have an audience can have a huge impact on your pricing, because it determines what are the best marketing methods for you. Now, what do I mean by a pre-existing audience? I'm specifically talking about, do you have organic traffic that you can drive to an offer? And if you're not familiar with the term traffic, it just means like, are people finding you? Whether that traffic could be readers on a blog post, they're finding you in Google search, or it could be views on YouTube channel, right, from the content that you're creating. But it's some sort of source, generally an email list, a YouTube channel, or a blog that is creating traffic. It's bringing people in, and as they're consuming your content, you can direct them to your offer. And so you need to determine, like, do I have an organic audience? Because no matter what, once you create a product, you're going to have to sell it in some way, and you need to be able to every single day send traffic, send people to that offer. And that really leads us into the second question you need to ask yourself, which is, are you pricing your program in a way that allows you to acquire customers profitably? If you do have an organic audience, you have a lot more flexibility in what you can do, how you can price and sell your product. You can easily do a low ticket product if you already have an email list or you have an established audience that's bringing traffic in every single day with something like a YouTube channel, because you have a constant flow of people that for free you can direct to your offer. So you can afford to do some of the mass marketing methods that convert at a lower rate for these lower cost products and are a little bit more passive. Things like webinars and sales pages and that type of thing. But if you don't have an audience, you need traffic from somewhere, and that usually means paid advertising. So this is where a lot of people screw up. They have an idea for a course, and if they don't have an audience, they're like, oh, I'm going to start small, I'm going to build up, and they're leaving no room to profitably acquire customers. It's very difficult to run something like a Facebook ad, and this is coming from a guy that runs Facebook ads for course creators for a living, right? It's difficult to run Facebook ads and profitably acquire a $250 course purchase or a $500 course purchase. The higher that price goes, the bigger your margins are going to be and the easier it is to do. But with those low ticket things, it's very difficult to profitably advertise. So if you have an established audience on something like YouTube and you have an email list, then you can really price it based on what you feel is best for the audience because you know there's a demand and you're creating something for them specifically. But if you are starting your audience from scratch a little bit, you need to consider something higher priced with a little bit more support around it because you're going to be able to reach your revenue goals a lot more quickly. And I just want to break down the math for you of what that looks like with pricing. If you're doing, let's say, a low ticket course, versus high ticket, I'm going to use the example of 200 versus 2,000. The marketing strategies that we would use to sell a $200 course are going to convert at like a baseline industry standard of about 0.5%. So what that means is that you need 200 leads to acquire one $200 sale. Conversely, the strategies that we're going to use to sell something high ticket, like a $2,000 price point, those strategies are going to convert at about 2%, meaning we only need 50 leads to get a sale. And so when you start looking at that, you can kind of see how if you're just starting out, that $2,000 product, like you're acquiring 50 leads, if the cost of the leads are the same, it costs you 4 times as much to get the number of leads you need for that $200 sale as it does to get that $2,000 sale. So you're paying a quarter of the amount and you're making 10 times as much. All right. So when you look at the math that way, you can see how pricing based on profitability of being able to acquire customers is really important. Now, the biggest fear you may have if you don't have an audience is that you're sitting here going like, look at my competition. They have this huge following. They're experts. I'm a no name in the space. How could I justify selling something at a higher price point? And the advantage that you have is time. Those more established experts, yeah, they have the I don't know what you want to call it, the skins on the wall to be able, and the reputation that might justify their pricing, but they also have that bigger, more established business, which means they have less time. You're just starting out, so you can give more personalized attention to your students, provide better support, and help them get better results, and that is going to justify the price. Because at the end of the day, the value of the program and what you charge for it is mostly based on what is the value of the result you drive. And if you can drive results faster or better results by providing a more personalized experience, there's huge value in that. Now, I realize pricing is a hard thing and you might want some help with this, so I encourage you to go in the description and join our free community called $1 Million Course Secrets on Facebook. You can go in there, you can ask me questions personally, and we provide a lot more in-depth content around pricing and sales. It'll be super valuable for you. Now, the last step in creating your online course is actually producing the content. So I want to talk to you about the tools that you're going to use in order to create the content from your outline once you have everything planned out. So we're going to be talking about the two Ooms, Zoom and Loom. Okay, so there's a software called Zoom, which everybody has really become familiar with thanks to the pandemic. And so Zoom is a great tool for you to be able to record what's going on. Like if you're doing a talking head video like this, you can just sit in front of your laptop, put up Zoom, and talk directly into the camera. It also is really great because if you need to swap back and forth between showing somebody something on the screen and like a bigger picture talking head video like this, Zoom allows you to go back and forth. You can record it, it delivers it to the cloud, you can download it, and then if you need to make any edits, you can, but it's a great way to record. One of my favorite tools for recording courses is Loom, Loom, at loom.com, which is a free tool that allows you to record your screen with a little chat bubble of your face in the bottom. And it's really great for how-to content. For example, inside of our Facebook Side Hustle course, one of the best things about that program is that we have over-the-shoulder tutorials. And what I mean by that is when people are learning how to use the Facebook Ads Manager and create ad campaigns, they're able to see our screen as we walk step by step through it. And so you'll see my face in the corner talking and explaining things while I click the buttons and my mouse is highlighted. And I do all of that with a free tool called loom.com. Now, there's a few things that you don't need in order to create a great online course. And that is, you don't need an incredible camera. You don't need a bunch of graphics and transitions and things like that. Really, you don't even need a ton of fancy audio equipment like this great mic here. I would say of any of those, the most important thing would be the audio quality. But if you have a laptop like I have here, your built-in camera and your microphone for it, or if you're using like an AirPods and talking into those, is going to provide excellent video and audio quality from your course. So don't get too lost in the gear. Just take your outline and start going step by step. You've already outlined your 5 to 7 modules, and each of them might have 3, 5, 7 steps there, underneath. Go ahead and start recording each of those subtopic videos, and then when you go to load them into a portal, that's going to be your content. Keep in mind when you're recording that shorter is better. We always try to keep our videos in the 10 to 15 minute range at the most, unless we're talking about a really important topic. So for example, in our Facebook Side Hustle course, almost every single video is going to be between 8 and 12 minutes. But then we have a couple of videos like how to write copy, which means words that sell for your ads, where it's very in-depth and it's about a 45-minute training. But there's really only about 2 trainings in the entire course that are that long. And the big reason for this, besides the momentum that I brought up earlier, is that as your students are going through your program and learning, they're going to consume all of it back to back. But when they start having questions or they want to go back and revisit material, having it broken up into those smaller chunks makes it really easy for them to find what they're looking for and get their question answered very quickly without having to reach out to you and have you answer a question that you already taught in the course. So this is really going to help you with that time leverage down the line and help them get better results and have a better experience inside of your program. Now, one note about recording and your outline in general. I want you to go through it and say, what are the things that are essential for this program for them to get rid of the result? And if there's anything that feels like it could be too much information, go ahead and leave it out for now. Like I said earlier, as you start getting questions from your students, you can always add content in, but we want to help you get it created so you can start selling it as quickly as possible. So you want to create your minimum viable product. And that just means giving them the least amount of information possible to help them get that result. Because one, it's going to allow you to create it and sell it quicker, but it's going to help them consume it and start implementing it quicker as well. So don't overthink this and don't try to add too much information. Finally, let's talk about where do you host your course. You're going to want some sort of platform where you can actually load all of the videos and any written resources that you've created into a nice website that has a login where your students can go in, put in their password, and see all of the content, have it broken down really nice, and just have a good user experience as far as the look and feel of it. I'm going to recommend that you check out Thinkific. I've used a lot of hosting platforms for my courses and online coaching programs over the years, and Thinkific is by far one of the best ones that I've found. It has a free option if you're on a tight budget starting out, but it also has a great paid option that's going to give you every feature you need that starts at $39 a month, which is super affordable when it comes to the tools and tech that you're going to need growing your online course business. One of the things that I love about Thinkific is that it's a drag and drop platform. It's very beautiful, and it provides a lot of analytics so you can see which of your users are logging in, what they're consuming, and you can look in the content to make sure everybody's completing it, or if there are things that are being skipped over or not used at all. If you want to know more about Thinkific, I encourage you to check out the link in my description. And now that you have an outline and you have a plan for creating your online course, you're probably going to be curious about all the other tools that you need in your business. So I encourage you to watch this video called The Only 5 Tools You Need to Grow Your Online Course Business in 2022.